I hope you are all doing well as of now. Let's go for the COVID-19 tips before we start today's lesson.
Here are some important tips to fight COVID-19, the pandemic. Wash the hands frequently with soap or sanitizer. Soap is an effective weapon to wash away the viruses and bacteria. Avoid unnecessary touching of eyes, nose, and mouth. Use your elbow to cover while sneezing or coughing. Wear a mask if you need to go out for any urgent work to protect yourself, and avoid close contact with people who are unwell. The minimum safe distance is 1 meter or 3 feet. Stay at home if you begin to feel unwell. Most importantly, don't self-medicate. Call your doctor and seek early medical help if you have persistent fever, cough, and difficulty in breathing. Don't worry, not all fever and cough are related to coronavirus. Let the healthcare provider diagnose it and follow the advice given by the doctor. Avoid handshake. Instead, greet people by folded hands and say namaste. Lastly, do not panic. Stay at home and keep social distance. Avoid going out in public. Let's fight this pandemic together. Stay safe.
Before you focus on, let's look at our strand. Our strand is system. Our strand is system. And then our substrand is ecosystem. Our substrand is ecosystem. Now, let's remind ourselves about the previous lesson we learned. I hope when I mention it, you've all remembered what you learned. That is nice of you. We learned something about the parts of the human respiratory system and their functions. Hope you get it. That is nice of you. We mentioned something like nose, larynx, mouth, pharynx, lungs, as you can see from the picture on the screen. Are you okay with that? That is nice of you, and I hope you learned everything. Now, let's quickly move on to today's lesson. Yeah. Today we are going to learn something about types of habitat for all living organisms. Types of habitat for all living organisms. Are you okay with me? Say that to me. Types of habitat for all living organisms. Okay, you get it. Now let's look at them. Let's quickly look at them. Now before we get there, let's look at the definition of ecosystem. The definition of ecosystem. When you talk of ecosystem, what is it? What do we mean by ecosystem? Ecosystem is the interaction between living things and non-living things in a given community. Ecosystem is the interaction between living things and non-living things in a given community. Now you can see it from the picture clearly. You see, it's very nice. What you see there is an ecosystem. As you can see trees, you can see animals, you can see water, everything in a particular community. Are you okay with it? That is nice of you. That is nice of you. So now you know the definition of ecosystem. We quickly move on to the definition of a habitat. A habitat. What do we mean by habitat? Yeah. A habitat is a natural home for living organisms in an ecosystem. A habitat is a natural home for living organisms in an ecosystem. Okay, you get it? Yeah, that is nice of you. Now take note of this. You can find a habitat within an ecosystem. You saw an ecosystem in the picture that we shown from the screen. Now, you can find a habitat within an ecosystem. Are you okay with me? That is nice of you. Now, in order not to waste time, let's quickly move on to the types of habitat. Let's quickly move on to the types of habitat. First one is water habitat. All of you say it after me. Water habitat. Now, what do we mean by water habitat? What do we mean by water? That is nice. You can see a very nice picture there as the crocodile is about to chew a fish. Have you seen it? That is so wonderful from the screen. Now let's look at water habitat. Water habitat refers to the natural home of living organisms living in water. Water habitat refers to the natural home of living organisms living in water. Some water habitats include the sea, rivers, ponds, streams, lakes, and lagoons. Are you following the lesson? That is so nice of you. Now, you can see another picture there, which is very beautiful. Now let's look at examples of animals that live in water. Examples of animals that live in water. We have fishes, we have dolphins, we have crabs, we have turtles, octopus, and whales. Yeah, these are animals, some of the animals that live in water. Are you okay with the lesson? Now, we quickly move on to the second one, which is land habitat. Land habitat, as the name implies, land. That's animals that live on land. And let's look at the definition of land habitat. Now, you can see from the screen, you see some animals on the screen, which is very beautiful. Animals, one on a desert, a giraffe, as you can see from the screen. Let's quickly look at the definition of land habitat. It's the natural home of organisms that live on land. Say that again. It's the natural homes of organisms that live on land. That is nice of you. Examples of organisms that live on land include human beings, elephants, goats, and lions. You can mention many of them. If you were to be in a classroom, I hope by now you would have mentioned plenty of them. You can see an elephant in the bush, some elephants in the bush. That is nice. Yeah, so this is what we call land habitat. Let's quickly move on to the last one that I would like to talk of, which is air habitat. Air habitat. As the name implies, if we were to be in a classroom, you would have been able to define it right now. But let's quickly look at it on the screen. We can see some birds flying in the sky. Yeah. Let's quickly look at the definition of air habitat. Air habitat is a natural home for living organisms that fly in the air and live on trees. Do you get it? That is nice of you. That is nice of you. Air habitat is a natural home for living organisms that fly in the air and live on trees. Examples of such animals are birds and insects, such as parrot, hawk, butterfly, bees, and so on. You can see a very beautiful butterfly there. A very beautiful butterfly. Yeah, living in a tree. That is where it lives. And let's quickly move on to another picture. You can see birds in their nest. That is so wonderful. In their nest. That's so wonderful. You can also see another one there. Yeah, so this is what we call air habitat. Are you okay with the lesson? I hope you're okay. Clap for yourselves wherever you are. That is nice of you. Let's quickly move on and then wrap up the lesson. Whatever we learned from this particular lesson. Let me summarize everything for you. Now we looked at something, the definition of what? Ecosystem, where we got to know that ecosystem is the interaction between living things and non-living things in a given community. You got to know that. I know that you've also gotten it. That is nice of you. You also got to know what a habitat is. I said a habitat is a natural home for living organisms in an ecosystem. Are you okay with it? We also quickly move on to the types of habitat for all living organisms, where we explain each of them with pictures. Now, there were three. We have water habitat. We also had land habitat. And the last one, which is air habitat. On this note, we end the lesson here. But before we end the lesson, let's go for our assignment. Let's quickly go for our assignment. Now, number one, what is an ecosystem? What is an ecosystem? As you can see from the screen. Number two, what is a habitat? What is a habitat? I know this is school job. You can do it as easy as ABCD. Then the last question, explain the types of habitats. Explain the types of habitats. Okay, we end our lesson. Make sure you take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.